Hello, I welcome to UPSC Prelims Chaturya series of Shantha Lakshmi IAS Academy, where we will discuss the daily prelims MCQs from the Hindu, Indian Express and PIB. Let's get started. The first question. Consider the following statements with respect to the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. It is a permanent intergovernmental body established by the United Nations General Assembly in 1964. The highest policy-making body of UNCTAD is the conference which meets once every 3 years. Its objective is to assist developing countries, especially the least developed countries. How many of the statements given above are correct? Only one, only two, all three, none of the above. This was in news recently. The UNCTAD raised an alarm over escalating disruptions in shipping routes for global trade in a new report. About this, it is the UN's leading institution dealing with trade and development. It is a permanent intergovernmental body established by the United Nations General Assembly in 1964. Its objective is to assist developing countries, especially the least developed countries and countries with economies in transition, to integrate beneficially into the global economy. It also seeks to help the international community promote a global partnership for development, increase a coherence in global economic policy making, and assure development gains for all from trade. It provides economic and trade analysis, facilitates consensus building, and offers technical assistance to help developing countries use trade, investment, finance, and technology for inclusive and sustainable development. The headquarters of this Geneva, Switzerland. UNCTAD membership consists of 195 states. Its activities are advisory by nature. Structure. The highest policy-making body of UNCTAD is the conference which meets once every 4 years to set policy guidelines and formulate a program of work. The Trade and Development Board, UNCTAD executive body, is responsible for the operations of the organization when the conference is not in session. The UNCTAD Secretariat, whose members form a part of the UN Secretariat, perform policy analysis, monitors and implements the decisions of UNCTAD intergovernmental bodies and provides for technical cooperation and exchange of information. Reports published by UNCTAD, Trade and Development Report, World Investment Report and the Least Developed Countries Report. So the answer is only 2 because the highest policy making body of UNCTAD is the conference which meet once every 4 years, not 3 years. Moving to the next question. Consider the following statements about Sudarshan Setu Bridge. It is India's longest cable-stayed bridge at 2.32 km on the Bay of Bengal. It boasts a unique design featuring a footpath adorned with verses from the Bhagavad Gita and images of Lord Krishna on the both the sides. Which of the statement given above is not correct? One only, two only, both 1 and 2, neither 1 or 2. Recently, Prime Minister of India inaugurated the Sudarshan Setu Bridge, connected Beit Dwaraka Island to mainland Oka in Gujarat, Devambhumi Dwaraka district. About this bridge, it is India's longest cable-stayed bridge at 2.32 km on Arabian Sea, connecting Beit Dwaraka Island to mainland Oka in Gujarat, Devbhumi Dwaraka district. It boasts a unique design featuring a footpath adorned with verses from the Bhagavad Gita and images of Lord Krishna on the both the sides. It also has solar panels installed on the upper portions of the footpath, generating 1 megawatt of electricity. The 2.32 km bridge, including 900 meters of the central double span cable stayed portion and 2.45 km long approach road, has been constructed at a cost of Rs 979 crores. So the answer is one only because it is the India's longest cable stayed bridge at 2.32 km on the Arabian Sea, not on the Bay of Bengal. Moving to the next question. Dharma Guardian exercise recently seen in the news is conducted between which two countries? Option A, India and France. Option B, India and Australia. Option C, India and Egypt. Option D, India and Japan. Recently, India and Japan kicked off a 2-week military exercise, Dharma Guardian, in Rajasthan's Mahajan field firing range to foster deeper cooperation in confronting common security challenges. About this exercise, it is an annual exercise and conducted alternately in India and Japan. It is the 5th edition of joint military exercise between the Indian Army and the Japan Army. Aim of the exercise is to foster military cooperation and enhance combined capabilities to execute joint operations in semi-urban environments under the Chapter 7th of United Nations Charter. The exercise would focus on high degree of physical fitness, joint planning, and joint tactical drills and basics of special arms skills. Significance of this exercise, it will enable to the two sides to share their best practices in tactics, techniques and procedures for conducting tactical operations. The exercise will also facilitate developing interoperability, bonhomie and camaraderie between the troops of both the sides. This will enhance the level of defense cooperation, further fostering bilateral relations between the two friendly nations. The other exercise between India and Japan are one was Malabar and another was the Jimex that was naval exercise and Shunyu Maitri that was Air Force exercise. So the answer is D, India and Japan. Moving to the next question. With reference to the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, that is nothing but NATO, consider the following statements. Article 5 of the NATO founding treaty states that an attack on any one of the allies will be considered an attack on all them all. The organization headquartered in New York. It is a military alliance established by Washington Treaty. How many of the statements given above are correct? Only one, only two, all three, none of the above. Hungary's parliament on Monday ratified Sweden a bid to join the US-led NATO alliance, clearing the final obstacle for an enlargement of the military alliance spurred by the Russia's war. About NATO, it is a military alliance established by the North Atlantic Treaty. It also called as Washington Treaty of April 1949. NATO fundamental goal is to safeguard the allies' freedom and security by political and military means. It is a system of collective defense where independent member states agree for mutual defense in case of any attack by external party. Article 5 of the Washington Treaty states that an attack against one ally is attack against all. This article forms the core of the alliance, a promise of collective defense. The headquarters of the NATO was Brazil's Belgium. Functions: NATO promotes democratic values and enables members to consult and cooperate on defense and security related issues to solve the problems and build trust in the long run, prevent conflict. NATO is committed to the peaceful resolution of dispute. If diplomatic efforts fail, it has the military power to undertake crisis management operations. So the answer is only 2 because the organization is headquartered in Brussels, Belgium, not New York. Moving to the next question. Choose correct one with respect to the loss and damage fund. It is a global financial package to ensure the rescue and rehabilitation of countries facing the cascading effect of climate change. The term refers to the compensation that rich nations whose industrial growth has resulted in global warming and driven the planet into a climate crisis must pay to poor nations. Which of the statement given above is are not correct? 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, neither 1 or 2. Developed countries have delayed nominating members to the Loss and Damage Board, hampering efforts to fully operationalize the fund to developing countries in time. About Loss and Damage Board, at the background, at the 27th Conference of Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change held in Egypt, parties reached an agreement on providing loss and damaging funding to the nations most vulnerable and impacted by the effects of climate change. At COP28, the fund was formally established and decision text stated that the fund would be governed and supervised by the board, a decision-making body. The board is tasked with setting up a strategic directions for the fund, as well as its governance and operational modalities and policies, frameworks, and work program, including relevant funding decisions. The board will comprise 26 members, 12 members from developed countries, and 14 members from developing nations. About Loss and Damage Fund, it is a global financial package to ensure the rescue and rehabilitation of countries facing the cascading effect of climate change. The term refers to the compensation that rich nations whose industrial growth has resulted in global warming and driven the planet into a climate crisis must pay to the poor nations whose carbon footprint is low but are facing the brunt of rising sea levels, floods, crippling droughts, and intensive cyclones, among others. It is often categorized as a economic and non-economic loss and damage fund. Economic loss and damage are negative impacts that we can assign a monetary value to. These are things such as the cost of rebuilding infrastructure that has been damaged due to a flood, or loss of revenue from agricultural crops that were destroyed due to drought. Non-economic loss and damage are negative impacts where it is difficult or infeasible to assign a monetary value. So the answer is neither 1 nor 2 because both the statement given above are correct. Thank you. This is the today's session.